Could Bernie possibly, if he was a prime Bernie Kosar, prime 88, 87, 89 type Bernie Kosar, if you put him on this roster, could he win a championship?
Celebrating the Browns' 75th anniversary, and my favorite moment as a little boy growing up here in Northeastern Ohio, I'm not sure I can narrow it down to really just one of them. The team has been such a special part of not only my life as a boy growing up, but obviously my career playing. But from my career playing standpoint, again, really kind of feel blessed to have been in so many special games, but things like the playoff games, against the Jets double overtime, being able, as a kid growing up, the Steelers had such a great tradition of Super Bowls and actually beating our Cleveland Browns. So the ability to have beaten our rival Steelers are also massive memories that I'm definitely honored. But one of the main things, though, it was whether it's games or not, it's being in the locker room with the players. That locker room, that environment is something special.
And that was courtesy of the History Channel and the Cleveland Browns. Thank you guys for that. And Bernie Kosar is part of the 75th anniversary with the Cleveland Browns from 1946. And you know, he talks about some of the games that he played with the Steelers and all of the great stuff that Bernie's just done. I mean, some of those great games he had with John Elway. And, you know, the teams did not come up. They came up short. And obviously, John Elway was a killer for, you know, the Browns. They just, you know, so many games. And we know the stuff. We regurgitate this history all the time. So, you know, we kind of know what it is and what the Browns were up against. But one of the things I always love talking with Bernie Kosar is the fact that Bernie Kosar was a pros pro and a genius level savant of the game of football. What Bernie lacked in physical ability, Bernie was able to do with his mind. I have an opportunity, and I like to say I got a pretty good relationship with Bernie. I've talked to him many times, had an opportunity to go out to dinner with him, and we just sat there and we talk about football for hours. He was inducted into the High School Hall of Fame. I had an opportunity to help induct him into the High School Hall of Fame in Canton as one of the MCs of the event. And, you know, if you sit back and you talk with Bernie, he just always has a wealth of knowledge, man. Like, you know, he came on the show and he comes on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and he breaks down the quarterback game like nobody else can do. And people don't understand. Bernie Kosar was one of the guys that was able to call his own games. And you got to think about, like, it's one of those old school throwback things that people don't get an opportunity to do anymore. But back in that era, when you see a Dan Marino, other guys that used to call their own games, Jim Kelly, the old run and shoot Buffalo, the K-gun with the Buffalo Bills, was calling his own plays. Bernie was one of the guys calling his own plays. And so, you know, when you hear those stories about the way you not only need to know the offensive game plan, you need to know what each and every blocking assignment is. You need to know what routes and option routes you have. You need to choose between whether you running the ball or passing the ball. And you're doing that all within the play clock and running down. It's something I marvel at it every single time we talk about it. So, you know, when you look at it and just take a look at what Bernie did in his career, over 23,000 yards, 124 touchdowns, almost 60% completion percentage, and 81.8 QB rating, and played for the Browns from 85 to about 93. So, you know, in that prime era, the question is to you guys, boys and girls, do you believe that Bernie Kosar could have won a championship if prime Bernie Kosar was on this roster? And I thought long and hard about it, right? So, you know, you guys, when you see this, I hope this video gets a lot of reaction because I want your opinion on it. And we just talking a little ball here, but I want your opinion on it though too. Put it down in the comment section and let me know what you feel about it. Could Bernie Kosar with this roster win a championship? And when I sat back and analyzed it and looked at what the Cleveland Browns have, they have a good offensive line, good to great offensive line. They have a nice stable of running backs, right? They got guys that can run routes like Amari Cooper. You got young guys like Jerry Jeudy. And the one of the things that I really see the most is is that defense. You got Jim Schwartz. You got that defense. Bernie Kosar is one of the most intelligent individuals to ever be behind center. And so when you say, could you win a championship? Most people would try to, detractors would say, well, Bernie wasn't an athlete. Bernie was, more of a statue. He wasn't a guy that was going to be back there. But Bernie did one thing. He was able to understand where the ball needs to go before he throws it. He always understands where he needs to slide in the pocket and get rid of the football. He also has arm angles where, hey, he might not have had the greatest overhand throw, but he always was getting the ball to people, and he prided himself on being able to be accurate and spreading the ball around. So when you talk about, look at what Joe Flacco did and what Joe Flacco was able to do in a very short period of time, coming off the street and lighten the league up a little bit. I think Bernie could have some of that same type of success. He may not necessarily have the cannon and the arm strength that Joe Flacco has, but up here, he's a guy that's one of the smartest individuals to ever be behind center. So what he's going to be able to do is he's going to be able to use some of these weapons. He's going to be able to use the Jerry Judys and the David Njokus and guys like that, because the Browns didn't have the type of offensive line, B, the type of receivers that they had. And the Browns were pretty good defensively, but they were not the Cleveland Browns that they have right now. So if you look at what Bernie would be able to do in 2024, I give them a big edge in terms of what they would be able to do in the passing game. Especially if he's still being able to call some of his plays, working with Stefanski, working with Dorsey. To me, I think Bernie Kosar could lead the Browns to a Super Bowl if he had this roster. I mean, heck, the Browns almost made the Super Bowl and they didn't have this roster, right? Take a look at what they had before and they almost went to the Super Bowl. It'd be difficult. It'd be difficult to say that he could, go out there and play Patrick Mahomes toe-to-toe and win that football game, because that's how great Patrick Mahomes is. But I don't have a shadow of a doubt that Bernie Kosar, given what his ability to think the game, the ability to see things with the game, and ability to make different throws from different platforms, and just the way he's able to get his team in the best position in terms of audibles, understand what a defense is trying to do to him, and just being able to be a general out there. I think Bernie Kosar by far has the ability in 2024 to take the Browns to a Super Bowl if he was a prime Bernie Kosar today. If you disagree, let me know, because I feel like, I feel like when you take a look at this, like little fun things like this, what ifs, sometimes that we take it too far and people go crazy about it, and sometimes some stuff is far-fetched. Some people are going to say, well, Bernie didn't win the championship when he was playing with that type of team. I just think the Cleveland Browns are in a different position right now, where that team is doing their thing. I think this team has some of the best talent it's ever had in the history of the organization. And I think when you look at it, Bernie Kosar could, possibly would be one of those guys to maximize that talent. What do you say? Make sure you hit us up in the comment section. Let us know what you think in terms of your opinion on Bernie and this roster. Coming up next,